Hi, everybody. I'm Corey Miller, and this is Indie Author Hour, and I write simply scandalous mystery thrillers. And this is my co-host, Hardy. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. I don't actually know. Go ahead, Hardy.
Hi, I'm Hardy LaBelle. I'm the author of the Video Game Careers series, which are career guides for aspiring video game developers.
So, Hardy, what have you been up to since last week?
I have been writing the scripts for my online e-classes, is what I've been focused on the most. So let's see if anybody who follows the show kind of knows that that's something that I've been working on for a while now, trying to put these e-classes together. And I created the full outline. I had it all laid out, and then I kind of went on to some of the class building classes, or some of the forums that I'm on Facebook and stuff like that, and asked people, tried to get their recommendations to try to figure out, all right, fine, I have an outline. What's the next step? And most everyone recommended that I actually write a full script, which would be the ideal presentation, sort of the ideal version of the presentation. Practice it a couple of times, and then work off of bullet points when I actually go to record. I'm a little under the weather. I got some kind of a sore throaty thing going on, so I'm sort of on the mend from that. But so that's what I'm working on, the scripts. But I actually had an interesting thought over the weekend, which was to try the scripts, to actually try presenting my class to my family. Just sit down and actually take my wife and my daughters. My son wasn't home at the time, but take my wife and my daughters through a couple of the modules and, sort of take them through the information and see how that went. And I had one major takeaway from that, which is I'm going to have to go on camera. I think that's just going to be necessary. I think part of selling this information, not I don't mean the business part of it, but I just mean making the information stick. I think just getting on camera and telling anecdotes and using my own emphasis, my own gestures, facial expressions is going to be a big part, because I set up the slides and I had my little script, and the girls were kind of going through the slides on their iPad, and they'd go through the slides and I'd read the script, and then they'd look at me and they'd say, "Well, Dad, I don't understand. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean?" And I'd dive into this explanation where I was trying to get them to understand it. And we got clarity on the topics, and they stuck with me through 2 full modules, so that was good. Yeah. I was a little worried that it wasn't necessarily going to be interesting for them, or it might be over their heads because they're not really hardcore game developers. But on the other hand, I just needed to be. I need to be on camera, I think, explaining stuff and convincing people or selling the idea. So
you're going to do it like a picture-in-picture, like you've got your slides, and then you'll be down in the corner or up in the corner, somewhere like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. I'm not sure which software to use to do that. Honestly, I don't know what would let me do a picture-in-picture format. So that's my research project for this week. I need to figure that out.
EasyVid does that.
EasyVid? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Pencil. Actually, maybe I'll just note it down.
I've got other questions about EasyVid, because we've been playing with the kids, and I have played with it since last week or so a little bit. And I did play with that feature, so I know it can do it.
This is the one that your kids said they should make.
That's how they're right. That's how they're recording their screen for their Minecraft when they play Minecraft. They're going to use this software to do it. And so I know that it can do it. There's just we had other challenges that I haven't been able to work through yet. Like, we couldn't upload on one computer, my son's, we couldn't upload it to YouTube. I have no idea why. I didn't understand the error message. And then on a different computer, we couldn't even load the software. Again, not sure why. But then on my Surface Pro, I had no problem whatsoever. So I did a quick test, and then I sent it to YouTube, and I actually kept it over on YouTube so people could see it, and I could ask some questions to see if people would answer some of the questions that I had about it. So it's over there. But I don't think I did that. I don't think I tested that feature when I did that little test because I was just trying to upload to YouTube, so I needed to create something really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's neat software, and you're a lot geekier than I am with that stuff, so you probably wouldn't have any problem.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll go back into that forum in the class building, the class building Facebook group that I'm a part of, and ask everybody and get some recommendations on, whatever the sort of screen, put my face on the screen over the slide, get their recommendations. Just so I have some knowledge of a few options that are out there. I'm sure there are several.
Is there anything that you can do in is it Publisher? PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, can you do that in PowerPoint? Is that possible?
I don't know. I've never tried. I only ever just do the slides in PowerPoint. I've never tried to do kind of a video over the top of giving the PowerPoint slides. So
Me either. So that's why I don't know. I don't do PowerPoint a ton. I just every now and again will play with that and use it. In any case, yeah, let us know what you find out though, because like I said, EasyVid's the only one I know of, but you're right. There's going to be plenty of others.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more. I also owe Kathy some time on the writing tools for Publish. She's asked me to take a look at the writing tools, and then she wants to have a Skype about what their tools do and whether blah blah blah, that type of stuff. So they want to pick my brain about writing tools. I'm like, okay, I'm fairly caveman when it comes to this type of thing. Once I learn something, I'm like, okay, it works pretty good. I'm gonna stick with it. So I typically just go with the thing that everybody recommends, and then I stick with that because I'm sure it works pretty good until I hear everybody say something else, like, oh, and that's actually kind of what attracted me to Scrivener was the fact that no matter who I talk to, wherever I kind of strayed around on the forums or on the interwebs, ultimately the name Scrivener just kept popping up in terms of organizing and producing manuscripts and, organizing your notes and stuff like that. So, me, once I can identify a clear leader in the pack, then I'm like, okay, that's the one.
With that. And honestly, Scrivener is awesome. Before I knew about Scrivener, I used something called, I think it was called Master Writer, something like that. And it was cool, but it was a lot more expensive than Scrivener, by the way. But I liked it and all that, but I don't remember being able to do anything that I could do in Scrivener, like take it out as an EPUB, take it out. It didn't do all of that from what I recall. And then I started learning about Scrivener and went, I should try that. And now I love Scrivener, and there's a ton of stuff about Scrivener I don't know. I have a whole book, I think Scrivener for Dummies is the one I bought. Let me see, is that what it's called? No, it's not Scrivener for Dummies, but pretty close. But I got one that was useful for Mac users and Word or Microsoft users because I thought that would be a useful tool. But I like that I can organize things in Scrivener, and I'm not so sure that with the Publish tool that you can do that as because I tried doing a rough cut right on the thing before. So it'll be interesting to see what you tell them and what they come up with.
Well, I feel obligated because I'm a fan of Kathy, so I'm gonna have to dig into that just for her sake. She wants us to do that, so got to do that for her.
Well, I got to get. Awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So just got to get kind of feeling a little bit better, and then I'll give him some energy to dig into that for her. But
I do hope you feel better. I know there's something going around. One of my kids is sick home today. And
oh, really?
And he was home last week.
Is it sore throat? Is it a sore throat thing?
It's a sore throat, nasal, whatever, just nastiness. So yeah, there's something going around.
Yeah.
Drink lots of tea.
Yeah, well, it's funny. My wife just actually brought me a nice cup of tea. So
tea is good for you.
It is good for you. Yes.
It cures what ails you. Not that I'm biased.
Maybe just a little biased. She's a big essential oils person too. You ever do any of the essential oils stuff?
I used to blend, actually. I used to blend oils. Yeah. I'm geeky that way. I get into that sort of stuff. In fact, my husband has a very long beard right now. And so he wanted beard oil. And I got him some oils for Christmas, but I didn't get him anything scented because I said, the bottom line is if you want these scented, I can do this for you. It's not a difficult task. You just have to identify the base oil that you want to use, and then you go from there.
So
some of the base oils have a scent to them already.
All right. Now, see, I'm going to reveal my ignorance. What is beard oil?
Oh, it helps it feel soft and nourishes your whiskers. It makes it manageable. Because his is getting to the point where it's really long. And so he's starting to remind me of the guy who just passed away, the wilderness guy. Oh, God. I just am blanking on his name, and I knew it before.
Grizzly Adams?
Grizzly Adams, okay? His beard is getting that long. He used to just have it trimmed pretty short, but he, for Halloween, was going as a Viking. And so he started to grow it out, and he hasn't trimmed it back yet. And so he needed a way to keep it sort of manageable, and that's what the oils will do. Nourish it, keep it manageable.
Okay, gotcha. Well, see, I like mine is pretty scratchy because it makes it's ideal for tormenting the children. You know, especially my little nephews. You know, they're 2 and 3, so I could, you know, they scream and laugh because it tickles. It's very good. So.
Okay, that's what they're for. So that's what you do with the oils, and they're good for your skin overall. Depending on the oils that you pick, they can have different properties for your skin.
So, writing wise, I'm trying to think of what else. I have a friend who is a very talented painter. Actually, he's very talented in a lot of ways. He's an art director and game director. You know, kind of big time star in the video game industry. And when he heard that I was going to be writing some fiction, he volunteered to paint a cover for me. And so he's been busy switching jobs lately. So that was another thing that happened this weekend was I kind of reconnected with my friend, and we talked a little bit more about what the cover might be, and we just sort of talked about his process and kind of how that all might work. So that was pretty exciting too. Just, you know, kind of, it's not writing related, it's related to writing, but it's not actually writing. I love the cover design. Yeah, I love the cover design process. And I think I'm kind of sold on the notion of starting with the cover and then writing the book. I don't know, Jim Kukral, I believe, was the person who originally introduced that idea on the Summer Book Show. And I always thought that wasn't the way I did it the first time around, but I like that idea. You know, I like the notion of using the book cover as a promotional thing, and you know, putting it in the can so that you have it as your, you know, just so, you know, makes it seem more real, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. So that was kind of interesting. I haven't really, my head hasn't been in that space for a while, but it was nice to connect with my friend and catch up and also talk about, I don't know, it's fun to brainstorm about cover stuff. Do you do that? Do you brainstorm with your cover designer, or?
We do everything email wise for the most part. So yeah, there's brainstorming, but it's all written down like that. And it's, you know, I'm still going back and forth with him right now on the Deadly Sims 3 cover on what I need that to be. But yeah, we brainstorm a little bit because he doesn't read what I'm writing necessarily. So I have to feed him a lot of information for him to come up with some ideas and for us to go back and forth, essentially. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm always curious though, because I don't understand, like, you've got this guy who's going to create this painting that will become your cover. What's the process from going from a painting to now it becomes a cover? Does he take a picture of it and now he has a JPEG? And how do you do that?
Well, so for me, I don't know, there isn't really a way to share it, but I have a cover for the monster books that I've been writing. So I've been working I work with a painter to kind of create that cover and graphic designer to come up with the actual logo for the book series and stuff. For me, the way I do it is, and have done it, is we talk about a scene from the books. Whatever that scene is, if it's capturing the tone or if it's some particular moment out of the story that is going to be really evocative or interesting, and then I pull a bunch of reference. I pull a bunch of photo ref to kind of make a mood board for the material. And say, all right, this captures the mood. This seems really interesting or relevant. So in the monster book, I pulled, pictures of sea monsters. I pulled pictures of ice because it's, kind of set up in the polar north and stuff like that. So anyway, I pulled all this reference, and then the painter took that and started to think about, okay, what could make a good composition for a book. What would make just a good composition for painting rather than a book. What could it be? What would be really dramatic? What really spoke to him? And then once we had a bunch of thumbnails, I think he made a series of 6 or 8, just very rough thumbnails, kind of showing roughly how things could be arranged. We talked through them. We took through all of those, and I picked the best one. And then I put it in front of the graphic designer to say, okay, if this is roughly the layout, what do we want to do with the logo? What do we want to do with the book title and the author title and that type of thing? So that both of the creative tracks were pushing forward. And when I asked the painter to come up with the painting, I said, look, this is going to be for the ebook, so let's format it in a way where the majority of the painting is the majority of the image is going to appear on the front cover of the book, but there's enough painting so that there could be a back cover as well. Just if we format it a little bit differently, which seemed to work pretty well. So then the painter went off. The painter went off to paint, and I sat down with the graphic designer, and we did a bunch of iterations on the logo for the book. Not as much on the typeface for my name, or if there's going to be any blurb stuff on the back or whatever. That is not as relevant as the actual logo for the series. The logo for the series, I think, is much more important. Really coming to something that's very distinctive. Anyway, so we came up with something cool, and then I gave it back to the painter. And of course, the dimensions of the painting had changed as he was working. So we took her graphic design, and he just sort of moved it around until it made sure that it would still fit. And then he just said, "Okay, that's once we have that, then I'm just going to go to town on the painting." And the final result is pretty cool. It's neat. I've never put it out there into the world because I've just been so distracted by all this other stuff. I'm not distracted, but I've been working on
a million things to do.
yeah. Working on the video game career series and the classes and all that type of thing. But that cover's in the can. And this new cover is actually for a different series. I mean, it's just a different idea. I didn't really want to, I really liked the process of working with that first painter for the other books. So I'd rather keep the same hand, if you will, the same kind of artistic approach to that series, and let that painter, really own those covers. And then these other ones, we'll see if my buddy can. He's an amazing painter, so he could probably just wang out a bunch of stuff once I kind of feed him some material. But it's a kind of a careful process. That's all. Just taking the illustration, or taking the going from a thumbnail to a rough, kind of a rough illustration to what's called a value illustration. So what the one painter that I like to do, he goes through very carefully and works out the material values even before he lays color in over top. He'll very carefully figure out how the light is bouncing, which is what you see in a lot of painters will do that. They'll go through most. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily overgeneralize, but in my experience, if you're a really skilled painter, you start with value before you start with color. So I don't know if you see this picture of my face the same way, but over this shoulder, this is this kind of blown out light area, and this part of my face is blown out in light. Can you see that? Is that the way it looks to you? Okay. And then it's, a little bit darker over here, quite a bit darker over here. This shoulder is maybe the darkest part of the painting. So if you were to do a painting of this picture of my face, you want to establish those values first. The values meaning, the values from white light all the way down to black dark. And once you establish that, it almost doesn't matter what colors you lay in there. You could make my face green or blue or any old color. It doesn't matter, as long as the value of the light is correct. See the way the light kind of falls across my collar and on the folds on the top of my shirt. If you are getting that correct, that's what sells that this is a soft cotton fabric that's kind of folded up with the creases and whatever, however the light is playing across my beard or my nose, what it's doing in my hair. So so anyway, doing the values passes is the first. That's super important. And then coming back and you can lay pigment over the top. And since it's digital, you could be any color. So he did a values pass from light to dark of the monster painting, and then he was like, okay, do we want to make the monster orange, blue, green, or blah blah blah, whatever, and we did it a couple of times that way. So I expect the process will be similar with the other painting as well. Sorry, you have opened an area of passion of mine. I was just like, I love this stuff. It's fascinating.
I know. See, and I never get to see that side of it. I have no clue what Christopher does when he does what he does. I just don't, and I can't do it. Otherwise, I would be doing it, right? But I don't have an appreciation really or understanding of what it takes to do what he's doing. I just know that when I look at his stuff, he's super talented, and I really like it. And I go, can you do that for my book? I mean, that's essentially.
Do you give him any feedback on the image as it's evolving? Like, for example, with Hush, did you? Okay, well, so how did that process work? Tell me, what did you do there?
The first couple images he came back with were all black and white, and I didn't want black and white at all, and I knew that, and because I was really trying to get a sort of graphic novel look, and that just wasn't doing it for me. So I that was my first feedback. I didn't like that. And when he first did that image, he had the hand over the mouth, but you could see the hand. And if I remember right now, it's got a glove on it. But in any case, he changed that. He added the color, which is what I wanted. So we did go back and forth on that. When he did the very first cover, the Deadly Sins cover with Des, that we went through a lot of discussion back and forth on, because I was really adamant about, I don't want people to see her face. You can see her from the back, you can see that, or from the side, and you can see she has long curly hair. You can see that she's built well, that sort of stuff. But I didn't want people to see her face. When he did the first image, it was all front and you could see her face. And it actually reminded me of an actress. She was in How Stella Got Her Groove On or Groove Back. She was in Score with, what's his name? Black woman. Really, really beautiful black woman. But the image reminded me of that. I said, no, that's actually not Des. So it's funny how I could look at this and go, no, that's not this character. I know that's not this character. So when he turned her around, I couldn't see her anymore, and he got that image. That actually that's the logo image that goes on all of the novels now. So it goes in the bottom. The covers have my name at the top, the title at the bottom, and then her image is a silhouette in the bottom. Angela Bassett. Yes, Angela Bassett. It looked a lot like Angela Bassett the first time. I said, beautiful, but no, that's not her. So there was a lot of discussion in that. And so keeping the font consistent, the name and all placements consistent from book to book going forward is what we've been talking about. So having the graphic novel feel.
So why didn't you want her face?
I am a really big believer in letting the reader figure out what the person looks like and having that image in their head. And I didn't want people to have my image of her in their head. So it's enough that they can see, yeah, she's got curly hair. And I talked about that in the books. I mean, she's pulling her curls back into or whatever, But I want people to be able to come up with the image on their own, essentially. But when they get made into movies, it'll all be blown to bits anyway. Some actor will portray the character.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I think you and I talked about this offline one time. The getting kind of hand-drawn illustrations to be what you want. It's very time-consuming. It's very challenging. To kind of get characters that are representative or looks the way you want them to look or whatever. And so most thrillers, an awful lot of them just go the photo route. They just sort of take whenever some stock person and they kind of doctor it up and they do some Photoshop effects on it and things like that, which seems like it would be easier. But you are deliberately trying to keep the graphic novel look, right? Mm-hmm. How come? I'm curious about that.
Well, I liked the very first image that he did, and I didn't really understand why I liked it so much until I went to Comic-Con. And when I went to a Comic-Con, I started to see images and realized that's what this was, that he had given this very graphic novel look. And it doesn't surprise me really, because that's what he writes. He actually has his own work that he does. And in terms of, he doesn't, I can't remember it now. You could look up You're Outnumbered. Well, because he doesn't promote it a lot. He actually really doesn't. But Christopher Brown is his name. And he's got a series called The Hitman, and I think he does that and works with other people on it. And there's been video releases of this that he's done. Just really cool stuff. But it was going to Comic-Con that made me make that connection. And then I realized I should be selling some of my books at Comic-Con.
What's his name? His name is what?
Christopher Brown. He's out of Washington, D.C. area. If I recall correctly.
Let's see. Wow, Chris
but I know
Brown.
He goes by You're Outnumbered. You are outnumbered or something like that. I mean, in terms of email and stuff. So if you come across something that has that email, that's him.
Oh, so not YOU''RE.
No.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I just really liked his style. And so when he did the cover for Deadly Sins 3 and he ended up doing Photoshop, like image stuff, I didn't like any of that at all. And that's what I told him. I said, I really like it better when you actually create these things. It looks so much better. And then it flows better with everything else. Because I want everything, I'm trying to get it all connected to every other book and all that, image-wise, as much as I can. That's my branding effort at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm being consistent with font, placement, and my silhouette of Des. That is what I'm being consistent about. And the fact that there's sort of graphic novel feel or look to the cover. So that's where I'm being consistent. The names of the books, we talked about this a week or so ago. Like you with the covers are a way to motivate you and write and get your ideas. For me, it's sometimes the title. And so coming up with the title and then going forward. And so I've got the next two titles and I don't have the story figured out for either one of those yet. And the same thing happened with North Downing that we've talked about before. The titles do it for me more than the cover does. And so that's what I bounce off of. And I go, okay, there's a story around this. And now I got to create this story, which I need to do pretty soon for the next one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm seeing so many reviews. So using just going to loop it back to the business side of, indie author stuff or whatever. I'm seeing so many reviews around fiction out there. A lot of the people that are sort of in the Facebook advertising groups and stuff like that, just getting scores of reviews on their books. And I have struggled to get to 10, And anyway, I got to do this class. I think the class is going to be good. I want to kind of get the class material out there in the world, and it'll be fun. But man, I'm looking at some of and I've read some of the fiction that's associated with it. Some of these reviews. It is good. I mean, not life altering, but it's it's entertaining and fun. And I'm seeing these people with 20, 30 reviews on a book, and I'm thinking, man, I am doing this the wrong way. Doing this nonfiction stuff is too freaking hard.
It's not that. It's that you have, from a nonfiction perspective, because I write nonfiction too. So the first book I wrote was nonfiction, but it wasn't nonfiction the same way yours is. Mine is still nonfiction essays, personal essays. You can talk about reviews. I can't get reviews on that book for nothing. I mean, there's very few. But when I get them, they're good. And then for yours, it's a similar thing. Yours is more like, this is a business card. Your books are a business card for you to do your class. I mean, that's how I would approach it, because you'll probably sell a lot more of those books once you do have this class ready to go. On the fiction side, getting reviews is just hard, period. I mean, my books, I have a hard time getting reviews for my books. That's just, the way that it all works out, And I have not, truth be told, put a tremendous amount of effort into getting those reviews. So, and what I mean by tremendous effort, I have not done what Brian Cohen did and contact all of those top Amazon reviewers and things like that. I have not spent time doing that. And I'm not going to be perfectly honest, not right now. And I probably won't do anything like that until I get another book out, or maybe the third full-length novel out, because my time is better spent writing my books than doing that. Because what's happening right now is somebody will read a book and then they don't have another book to go to. So they love Hush. Oh my God, I love this. I really love reading this. And when's the next one coming out? And I'm like, soon. So that's why I say I've got to really focus on more get the books out. Even if it's the Collection of Deadly Sins series, get them out so people have things to land on and read while they're waiting for the novel to come out. Because I don't write as fast as some of these other writers do. I was just listening to the Author Biz show this morning, and I love that show. Stephen Campbell does that show. And he was talking with a guy named Michael Anderle. This guy, the show was titled, to give you an idea, 0 to 10K a month in 90 days. Really? Oh my gosh, right? This guy wrote, he's written his 5th book. He wrote basically 5 books in 90 days, essentially. And he's been see the look on your face right now, and turning that amount of money, right, off this, just writing like crazy. He wrote one of his books, and he's writing in genres where he's writing 65, 75,000 words. He's not writing 10,000 words. So he's writing full-length novels. Some of them are longer than that, I think, in an interesting sort of mashup of genre, because he's doing paranormal, there's vampires in it, there's, a couple different things. But he put it out there. In fact, he says he put out the first couple and he didn't edit. He didn't hire an editor. So he just put them out there.
Is this the dude, the write really fast guy? Like that
no,
guy?
This is some really just unknown guy. And he didn't publish these books until the first one was November 2nd is when the first one came out. Last year, November 2nd, 2015. So as of the episode today that I listened to, which was a January episode, it just happened, he was, he's on par for January to earn something like $13,000 for January and 5 books. And part of it is having that series, having something for people to land on for the next book, and they want to consume it right away. So apparently he's writing really fast.
No question. Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to try to do a little back of the napkin math and try to figure out how many books do you have to get that novel series bonus?
He can tell you.
Really?
He kept a spreadsheet. Yes. If you go to authorbiz.com, you can download the PDF that he put together that shows he's a geek. He had a whole spreadsheet on everything he did. And then he gave Stephen a PDF of basically lessons learned. He comes from a business background, that he's got his own business. And so he's geeky like this. And he kept track and keeps track of everything he does, including the advertising money. And I want to get into Facebook ads in a minute, because he talked about that too. He had some really cool ads that he put together that you can see in that PDF.
Wait, authorbiz.com is whose site is it?
Look up Google Stephen Campbell Author Biz podcast or Author Biz show, something like that, and then you'll find it. But the PDF is over there, and I was looking at it earlier this morning because I was like, oh my gosh, because this guy, he's like, okay, if I sell my book at $2.99 and I write 20 books and I keep them in a series of 7 so that I'm always releasing X number at the same time, that he has the information for you that you're asking. He wanted to be able to retire, and so when he did all his numbers, like, oh, that'll give me an extra income of like $58,000 a year, something like that. But you do need to have some other books out there. One book is not going to do it. In fiction, for sure, one book is not going to do it. You need to have other books, because that goes to discoverability.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you find it?
Yeah. I did. Yeah, I did. I found the guy. Right, 0 to 10K a month. Watch the video. I'm just looking for the.
Scroll down a little bit if you're on the show page part, there should be some links, and there's a PDF.
90 days to 10K document. Maybe that's what it is.
But I was listening to him this morning. I thought, oh, we should have him on Indie Author Hour. We need to chat with him for a little bit. And what I liked and appreciated about him was that his attitude. I have a similar attitude that he does. Dive in and just do it. You have a lot of these industry experts and people doing whatever they're doing and suggesting this or suggesting that, but just do it. push the button. That's what you need to do. Publish, just publish. And that's what he did. He says now, he has an editor now. So because he got some reviews. He was getting reviews. There were 4 and 5-star reviews. And people were saying, the book is great. The editing sucks. That was what he was getting. But he was still getting 4 and 5-star reviews because his story was good. And so that's what people really liked. And so people can be very forgiving about the editing mishaps when you have a really good story, and decent covers and stuff like that. If your story sucks, then that's a different thing altogether. But that wasn't the case for him, And so he was getting reviews. If you go and I Googled him a little bit and I looked at his Amazon page and everything, and he talks about branding, and he doesn't talk about the titles, but he talks about the overall look of and feel of the covers, which is what I'm doing with mine, the overall look and feel of the covers. But he actually has all, you want to talk about titles, he has pretty much all of his titles listed out in that PDF document. I mean, I haven't even gotten that far. He was like 20 or something. I don't know how many are there, but he knew he was going to do something like 20 books. I think that was his plan. So that's a great podcast episode to listen to. I love Stephen Campbell's show anyway. I mean, it's just a fun one to listen to, really helpful. I like his style when he does his podcast.
Here's his Facebook advertising budget. That's interesting. Sorry, I'm scrolling through. Yeah.
So anybody listening, if you're into the author biz stuff, like what we're talking about, Google this guy, Michael Anderle, because he has this PDF on the author biz website that's really helpful, specifically the Facebook ad stuff. Pretty cool. I appreciated that because he even took like a screenshot of what he selected for his audience, how he set it up. And then you can see his different ads that he put together. And they were really cool. So speaking of these ads, I decided I would try another Facebook ad, So I'm going to consider this epic failure number 1 right here. Just saying. I thought I have, and I'm not going to lie, it's a great ad, damn it. It looks really good.
We'll put the link in chat. Let's see.
I finally got a really decent looking ad, I think. And I think I had the wording stuff right. I think I did it right. Yeah.
You got a link for us to put it in the chat?
I don't know. Let me see if I can find it.
Come on.
Keep talking to everybody. I'll go see if I can find it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is epic fail number 1. And why seems a little quick to be calling it epic fail number 1. Why is it an epic fail?
Because it got exactly 1 click to my website. 1. That's it. Hold on. I was going to do this. I forgot to get this popped up because I planned to share the link so that you could see it because I thought, I did it right. I think I did it right this time.
Okay. All right. Well, so who were you targeting? Were you targeting authors in your genre space?
This time I targeted Lee Child, and I had as a sub sort of target thing. Hold on, I have notes for this, and now I can't find the note because there was one other thing that I put on there, so it wasn't just Lee Child. But I'll have to see if I can find it. Let me find this other thing first. Let me see if I can find the ad first.
Yeah, by all means, take a look. And while you're doing that, let me just sort of float a question out to our audience in case if anyone has any questions. You feel free to float them out there. If you type /Q, if you want to just float the question out there in chat, we can put it up on the screen, and Corey and I would be happy to address it for you. Or if you want to come into the hot seat and ask a question, absolutely, you're welcome to do that as well. In case you're just joining us late, Corey and I are both indie authors, and we are just trying to make our way. We're at the bottom, fighting to work our way up the ladder. And that's what really the Indie Author Hour is all about. It's just us sharing our experiences, process, kind of working as authorpreneurs, and all the challenges, the technology, the strategies that we use, that we've encountered, what's worked, what's not working, what are the epic fails, which apparently this ad might be one of them.
Okay, it's in there.
All right.
It's in the chat.
Yes, I'm excited to see this. All right, let's see here. Open link and mute.
Okay, now let me say, I got this idea because I was reading something from the Ally group, Facebook group, Alliance of Independent Author Group, and a guy named, I think it's David Penny, he did an article that was basically about the Facebook ads that he ran. And so I looked at his ad and went, that's a cool ad. I like that ad. So I was trying to sort of use his ad as a way to redo my ad. I went to Canva. I actually worked on this really hard and thought I finally came up with something that was, intriguing. Apparently not. But anyway, so that's what I did. So you guys can see the link in there if you want to go and look at the ad and tell me, what in the world, and part of it is you asked me who I targeted. I know I had Lead Child. I ran it for about a week. Oh, the other thing I was testing, I only did it in the desktop feed because what I decided was I was going to run ads and test like each one of these sections. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this ad just to the desktop feed and see what happens. That's why I was limiting how long I was going to let it run. So I let it run for about a week. And I had one website click. And let me back up. The reason I did this was because when I was running all my other ads, the places where I was getting the most clicks, the most attention were on mobile and audience network every single time, not on desktop feed. And so I decided, well, I'm going to see what happens here. So I did desktop feed only on this one, targeted Lead Child. Wait. One click, and it was...
I don't understand. So you're mostly getting attention on other networks. Why restrict yourself
on other things?
So why restrict yourself to desktop feed if that's not where people are?
Because I just wanted to test it. So I was trying to see if that was true, if this would happen. So I said, I'm going to do this week. My next ad is actually, I know I break things down weird, but this is how I decided to do it. So my next ad is mobile and audience network is the next one. And it's the same ad. It's the exact same ad. And so I did this one. I got one website click. I let it run. It was Lead Child, like I said. This one, same ad, but only mobile and audience network. Because you can't do, those come together, which was weird. If I tried to just click on audience network, it would automatically click mobile, whatever. So, or if I just clicked mobile, it would click that one. I can't remember what order it was in, but I couldn't just do one or the other. So I did
all right, but now it's time for me to ask some questions. Okay, I'm going to ask some questions. So,
do I have to know the answers?
One hopes. Yes, we need to get to the answers on some of these questions. Okay.
This Facebook stuff isn't working for me. That's all there is to it.
Debug that for you right now. We're going to work on it together.
And notice, just before you drill me, this time I put a shop now button. I wasn't actually trying to get signups for my email list. I was actually pushing to shop now.
So
I was trying it differently.
What does the shop now button do? Is it going to take?
So they can buy
that'll take them where? Will it take them to Amazon?
It should take them to my landing page where they can buy the book.
So you're trying to sell it direct?
No, because it's my lead page landing page. So it's got, they can buy it at Kobo or they can buy it at Amazon. It's got a link for either one. So you see the picture, then you see the link. Either one, go here or here.
Okay, I see. Okay.
And I don't know if that's a good landing page to use or not, because the landing pages are new for me.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm using a good landing page.
I want to step through this nice and slow because I see some issues and I want to see if I can help you. First of all,
let me find I gotta find the ad. Okay.
So why are you spending time trying to test the ad on different networks? What is the value that you perceive?
Part of it, I wanted to see which one was going to be better. That's what I wanted to know. Because here's why. I thought that the newsfeed one would be, and this was me listening to industry experts, by the way. I thought the newsfeed one would be the better one to use, and that the results would be better there. And since all my other ads really sucked, and this one I thought was better, I thought, okay, I'm going to start over. And here's how I'm going to test it. I'm going to start over. Because the other ones didn't do anything for me.
Okay, but this would be my question, right? Which is, if the ad is good, wherever it gets served doesn't really matter. In other words, it doesn't cost you any more or less. It's not any more or less work to take the same ad and serve it on desktop, mobile, that's literally just checkboxes. And whether or not where people are clicking, it doesn't matter to you, does it? Like, why would that matter to you?
I don't know. I just wanted to test it. I thought that was important. So you're saying it's not important?
I would make the case that it's not important at all. That's not something that we care. We don't care where people are clicking. All we care is whether or not they are clicking. It can be useful to you to understand if your majority of your audience is on Instagram, which is mine. That's the case for me. Easily 90% of the people who click on my ads click on it from Instagram. I get very few clicks on mobile. I get almost no clicks from desktop. I'm still serving the ad in all those places, but that doesn't matter because all I care about is, the only thing that matters to me is, as a data point, am I getting people to interact with the ad, and am I, and where are they? But it doesn't, like, I wouldn't bother taking the same ad and trying just to serve it to mobile or just to serve it to desktop, because that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then my thinking, I guess, was if I've got this set amount of money that I'm going to spend, why not put all of that money in where I know they're going to be clicking on it, and I know that it's going to get in front of people that need to see it.
Sure.
If some of that money is getting spent on the news feed and it's only resulting in one click, I could have been spending that money just on where I know people are going to interact with it, like you with the Instagram.
Right. Except for, I would make the case that a better way to test that would be just go ahead and serve it all over the place. And if you see that it's not getting clicks anywhere else, like if you're not getting desktop clicks or if you're not getting whatever, then just shut it off later. But I wouldn't bother doing A/B testing on all those different things. What we really want to do is focus and see if the creative content for the ad is getting the result that you're looking for, right? Like to me, that's what I spend my time testing. Is the picture, is the text, is the call to action button tuned in such a way so that I'm actually getting people to engage with my ad? I don't really spend any time worrying about where they're engaging with it, except for, like I said, if you're going to serve it on Instagram, you have to do some stuff a little bit differently because the format of the ad changes.
Right. You have to make it square.
Right.
Or something.
So I wouldn't,
and I did that.
Okay. All right. So that would be my first recommendation would be go once we step through these issues, like I would recommend going back and just go ahead and serve the ad, on mobile, on desktop, and on Instagram or whatever. I mean, if you want to do Instagram, but on mobile, on desktop, and see where people react to it. Most of the time, people react on mobile. Like even people who get a lot of success out of their ads, mostly they react on mobile. That's just anecdotally the word that comes back in all the Facebook advertising groups. Okay, so that would be number one. I wouldn't worry yourself about that. Number two, let's talk about this image. What is this image that you've picked?
Part of the story, the character's killed in an alley for Hush. So that's why I picked that. Because I thought, it's kind of an alley. Looks like a person in the alley could be kind of suspicious. And here's the book. That's why. I didn't have any other ideas. And I don't know, you've never seen, I don't think, any of my other ads, and they were abysmal. Although I will say that some of those got more clicks early on for some reason. But they were really not very good. And this one I was like, well, dang, this makes sense because what the story is about, but yeah.
Okay, so
you think it doesn't work?
Well, here's my reaction when I'm just looking at it, which is it almost looks like you're trying to tell a story with the ad where here's some dude lurking in an alley, and then the next frame is a picture of a woman with this leather, mask thing or leather glove over her face. Are you trying to make that kind of sequential relationship between the two things?
Yeah.
Or you are? Because that's really upsetting.
So it evokes an emotion.
Yeah. Not a ooh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Mostly oh my God, that poor woman looks like that dude that's lurking in the alley. He's grabbed her and something horrible is about to happen, and I don't really want to know about that.
You think it evokes too strong of an emotion?
It does for me. It does for me.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be my first reaction. It's not pretty, right? It's not a pretty collection of colors. And it really is upsetting, like, to kind of see that sequence. The third thing that I would say is if you are going for that sequential relationship between and I'm looking at the ad, not looking at you. So if you're going for the sequential relationship between the kind of picture of the ne'er-do-well lurking in the alley and the cover, the angled cover picture, sort of showing that it looks like a book, it just looks weird. I would recommend that you go for a flat presentation of the cover, not that angled presentation. The angled presentation is, in my opinion, it's more valuable if you're trying to represent a series of books, like, you're going to get, multiple books in a series and you could sort of see their names on the spine. An angled presentation here, it just looks like it's too small for the space that it's in. I'm just giving you my.
I tried it. I actually tried it both ways, and most of my ads have not been the 3D image. Most of them have been the flat.
Oh, okay.
And so this was my experiment to try the 3D image.
Okay.
So switching, that's not a big deal.
Okay. But I'm just giving you my thoughts. I react to them however. I just give you my unvarnished. Okay, so let's take a look at the copy here. Desiree Jackson specializes in uncovering secrets, and she won't stop until she discovers the truth. What is she?
I couldn't fit everything in. So put in PI there. If I keep that, put in PI. Right.
I think it would be worth setting the context of the story a little bit more in this blurb. Desiree Jackson is a PI who specializes in uncovering secrets.
No, I can just put PI before her name. PI Desiree Jackson specializes in uncovering secrets.
Right. And what is the nature of the case she's on this time?
Okay, but I tried that in all my other ads, and that wasn't working.
So
in the other ones, I said more about the story. So I've taken pieces out of it. I even took the blurb from the page on Amazon and took some of that and put that in there and said this case is about blah blah blah. And that wasn't seeming to be effective either. This one, I decided I was going to try and do what this guy David Penny did, which was, that's why you see quotes. Those are from reviews because that was what he did.
Yeah,
so I'll try this and see if this works.
Yeah, I gathered that's the case. My thought would be, what my instinct would be to say a little bit more about the case, so that it potentially intrigues your reader. It piques the interest of the people who are looking at the ad to go, I wonder how she is going to handle that case. Because right now, Desiree Jackson specializes in uncovering secrets. She won't stop until she discovers the truth. I don't know enough about the story now to react to it one way or the other and tell you if it would be something I was interested in or not. So, and then, okay, so that would be whatever point that is, if that's 2 or 3 or something like that.
That was like 10.
The next, I guess the next thing I would say is, out of context quotes just sort of listed out like this, it just seems like you could ground them a little bit better. Like, try this, try the novel that readers are saying is entertaining, interesting, and well written. I love Desiree. You see what I mean? Like, just add a little more language to smooth that out.
How much? Because the copy there is limited. Do you know how much you can write in that space? Because every time I tried to add more, it would take stuff out. Meaning it would be like ... or read more. And I was trying to avoid that.
Oh, so it compresses it. Yeah, well, absolutely. You got to have to kind of play with the text.
And that's what I was doing. And then I ended up with cutting stuff out that I'm like, well, that should be there. But, like I said, I tried in the other ads, I sold the book more story-wise and didn't do any quotes. And, now I'm like, well, I don't know which combination is going to work.
All right, moving on. Yes, agreed. That is a problem. But I would say that's something you got to tune up. Mystery thriller by emerging author. I think you can do better.
What's wrong with that? I didn't want to use debut author.
That's the most
everybody uses
description I think you could possibly write.
That's not true. Everybody says debut author. Emerging author is good. I like emerging author.
Try a new mystery thriller today. Try. Where are you from? You're from Kansas, right?
No, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Try Nebraska's newest thriller writer, or Desiree Jackson.
Why can't you just write my ads for me? Damn it!
I'd be happy to do that for you. I'm actually happy to do it. I just would make the case that as a headline, mystery thriller by emerging author it's a little bland.
Boring?
It's a little bland. Yes.
Here's the thing that is so frustrating, as if there weren't many things frustrating about the whole Facebook ad thing, but it's really frustrating to be someone who can write a novel, a good novel, by the way, and can't write this. I cannot sit down and write the blurbs. I'm getting better with the blurbs. And these stupid ads.
Yeah, it's a different skill. It's a different thing. All right, can we keep pushing forward?
Okay, I need a suggestion on what to do about the image. I mean, not the image of the book. I can fix that very easily. But if I'm not going to use that alley image, which I thought was really cool, what should I use?
I'm not saying don't use the alley image. If you I'm not saying that. If you want to keep the alley image, which it does create a strong emotional reaction, I would just recommend straightening out the picture of the cover so that, it does kind of create a little bit better of that sort of sequential effect of, oh my gosh, there's a horrible person lurking in the alley. Oh my goodness, he's put his hand over her face. The other thing is that the kind of stylized graphic nature of the illustration will work better, I think, in a straight-on forward presentation than it does in an angled presentation. Okay. Because for me, I like the style that the painter is using, but in an angled presentation, the sort of white line of highlight that runs up her nose, it just looks like face paint in an angled presentation as opposed to it just being part of the overall sort of graphical style. Its resolution, and I don't want to be too picky, but the resolution of the glove over her face, it looks like it's been fairly carefully rendered to look like realistic leather. But then I look at her face with that white line, and it doesn't make as much sense. So I'd say, bigger, flatter presentation I think will help sell the graphical style a little bit better. That's my opinion. Okay. What can you do for me that's a little bit better than 2 chapters for free?
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm looking for a deal. I want a deal. I want a book of short.
Well, I can do whatever I want. So how many chapters do you think I should give away for free?
Well, so you're trying.
I thought 2 was pretty good.
Well, here's the thing. You're trying to sell this book, right? So why give the chapters away for free?
Again, I'm trying an experiment. I've done the Deadly Sins thing as a free giveaway in every ad, and 2, when you go to my site, you can get it for free because it's a perma-free book, so you can just get that for free. I've done Deadly Sins 2 in a similar manner. Haven't gotten any results from that. Okay. So then I thought, well, I'll try giving away a couple chapters of Hush for free.
Okay.
You want to, so it's an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work.
Okay. Well, for me, my thought about this is, you want me to buy this book. I'm not sure that I would necessarily be moved to buy it if you're going to give me the first 2 chapters for free, because if I get the first 2 chapters for free, I can decide upon reading that whether or not I like it, and then I don't necessarily have to buy it. You see what I'm saying? So I would say that your lead magnet in this case, you might want to think about sweetening the deal and sort of say, oh, well, you could get Deadly Sins, or something. Just you kind of want to think about, and this is just my opinion, a natural conversion of, I want that free thing and I'm going to buy the book because I'm getting this deal right now.
See, and I thought if I get, and I read this somewhere too. So I thought if I said, okay, you're concerned about this book, you don't know if you're going to like it. So if I give you 2 chapters for free and you read these 2 chapters and you like it, then you will in fact want to go buy it. How else are you going to finish the book? If you read the first 2 chapters, decide you like it, you're not getting the rest of the book for free. How are you going to have to buy it? That was my thinking.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. In which case, maybe instead of shop now, if that's the way you want to go, maybe instead of the shop now call to action, it's download or, something.
Sign up.
Yeah.
Go back to sign up.
Sign up. I mean, I'd go with download because sign up is, people seem a little gun shy. I find more success with download than sign up, but, get your first 2 chapters free. Also, are you excited about giving away the first 2 chapters?
I would do more than the first two chapters.
No, I just mean, if you're excited, why not use an exclamation point? Look at free is in all caps. You can put an exclamation point like free. Wahoo! All right, okay. Last quibbly comment. Ready?
Exclamation point. Hold on, I got to write down this other note. Go ahead.
CoreyDMiller.leadpages.co. Really? You can't.
Okay, but here's my question. Here's what I don't understand. So here, and you're gonna have to help me with this. Okay. I was trying to connect it to my lead page, obviously. And when you first set up the ad, and you have to say what page it's going to, right? I put that in there because that's the page I wanted to go to. Is that one?
Yeah.
And that's not on my website necessarily.
That's fine.
It's a lead page.
But you have two boxes.
But that's what it comes up as.
But you have two boxes. One is the name that it's going to display, and the other is the actual link that it's going to take you to.
Okay. So I played with that and I thought I understood it. So now because I had it as Corey D. Miller for the longest time. So go back and change that to Corey D. Miller, and you'll still go to that lead page.
Yeah, it'll still go to the lead page, right? Okay. But what you want to say in there is hushmysterythriller.com or CoreyDMiller.com or something that's more evocative, right, than just the landing page. Make it sound pro, because it will still bring them right to that landing page. But
that's what I was wondering.
But the link in the box that what is displayed can be different than the actual link that they're going to click on.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that, because I was playing with that and I'm thinking, am I doing this wrong? Because I never did it that way before. I had it on as Corey D. Miller before. CoreyDMiller.com.
I gotcha. No, I think that would be my again. I mean, this is just I'm not stepping through this, but like I'm doing this insensitively. I'm doing this in a kind of not brusquely, but without a lot of stepping around.
No, but I needed the help because I'm not getting any feedback, because I'm not in that Facebook group, the same one you're in. I'm in the other one, and I don't post the ads and stuff in there. So this is the first time I'm getting any real feedback. And all my other ads, like I said, I think they really did suck. This is the first time I did one where I thought, no, this is good. What am I doing wrong? It's good. But I didn't think about all those different things.
Are you keeping up with I'm sorry, everybody. I was not paying attention to all the comments that are in the comments stuff.
Yeah, sorry. We get off on Facebook sometimes.
Yeah, well, I was looking at her ad. So let's see what people are saying. It just came in. Response from your question: I can't figure out why people offer their books for free on Amazon. It doesn't make sense to me. Ooh, okay. Durham Skywriter. The short answer is it's about content marketing. So, what these days? Corey, are you still there? By the way. Oh, yeah. Okay. You were very still. I thought maybe we lost you.
I'm reading. Sorry, I was reading.
So the answer, Durham, is that what you want to try to do is you're trying to build a relationship with your audience and with your potential customers. So you offer a book for free or whatever it is that you can offer for free, whatever you're comfortable offering, in the hopes that that's the entree to invite someone to start building a relationship with you. So, in this case, Corey would say, I want to offer you, a book for free or the chapters for free. And if they read those and they like her, they like her style, they like her personality, they like interacting with her, they're much more likely to be open to more direct emails from Corey in the future about new books that she has or, new things that she's putting out there. And this is all kind of covered under the idea of content marketing, which if you haven't really read up on it, I definitely recommend you do that. It is the way marketing works now. And most people, if you go into your inbox, it's likely that you have been, sort of scooped up into a content marketing scheme yourself, where you'll go out on the web, you're trying to solve some problem, or you're looking for some kind of an entertainment, and someone offers you something like, oh, check out this video, or check out this PDF of, solutions to this problem that I'm offering, or that you might have, my list of potential solutions. And you click on it, and to get the offering, they're asking for your email. And then you start seeing your inbox, oh, hey, thanks for asking about that. I'm glad you're in. It's a way for people to self-select topics that they're interested in, and for people who are providing goods and services to know who wants what it is that they're providing. So in this case, Corey is going to provide them with Sinfully Scandalous Thriller Mysteries. This is a way for people to self-select, opt in, and say, "I want Sinfully Scandalous Thriller Mysteries. Corey Miller, entertain me, please." That's why. And depends on how much you have to offer. So, if you've got multiple books, which Corey has, then she can offer, one of her other books, which is a collection of short stories, for free in exchange for, someone's email address and opportunity to buy the book at a discount or, whatever. Anyway, but that's the way content marketing works. Hopefully that makes some sense.
And Hardy just takes to this stuff a lot more naturally than I do, apparently. And so this is really challenging for me, which is why we spend so much time on Facebook, because he got it right away. And I'm just over here struggling. I'm having a heck of a time with it. So I seek his advice. And this is the first time I've been able to put together an ad, like I said, and then have him see the ad and say, "Hey, what's wrong with the ad?" So this is really valuable feedback. And yes, he tends to be very upfront and honest about everything, and I happen to appreciate that. Some people don't care for that style, but I happen to like that. So it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm not boo-hooing over here or anything like that. It's helpful.
No,
so I'm going to fix the ad.
I'm happy to. Would be happy to take a cut at the copy for you if you want my help. If you don't, I'm certainly happy to.
I'm trying not to burden you because you have so many things to do. I'm like, let me just try and get it right. I just need to try and get it right because other people are getting so many fabulous results with this. When Hardy, just so you all know, when Hardy started doing this, he's already got his email list. It's over 500 now, right?
It's over 700.
It's over 700. Okay.
Yes.
So a week or so ago, he was already at the 500 mark from doing Facebook ads to get email signups. And I'm sitting here struggling to get 2 or maybe 3. And he's being on 500. So he clearly is doing something correctly. So it's worth hearing him out and seeing what he has to say about it.
It's a small bit. I am pleased. I am super pleased. Yeah. All right. Well, so let me talk a little bit more about kind of how that's happening. Let's see what Durham says. A free chapter sounds fine. Give an entire book away sounds kind of desperate.
I was reading that too. My strategy for all of this is the more books I have out, it helps with discoverability. And so I write a series of short stories in between novels. It's my approach. So I've got Deadly Sins 1, Deadly Sins 2. I just finished Deadly Sins 3, and it'll come out in March. And then the second novel that I'm writing, North Downey, comes out in April. But the whole plot and plan, it's discoverability. So the more I have out there, the more people find it, that sort of thing. The first book is perma-free. So Deadly Sins 1 is free. I can also give away, because it's my stuff, give away Deadly Sins 2 for free on my website. And that's oftentimes what I will do, or I'll just hand it to somebody. But I have a business besides this. And so one of the things I learned from doing my other business was people want you to give them stuff. So I do a lot of sampling in my other business because I own a tea company. So I do a lot of sampling, a lot of free tasting. And that brings me back volumes in revenue, basically. It helps me in the long run to do that sort of thing. So this little thing that I'm doing over here up front to let somebody sample something really is a bang for my buck over here. It absolutely, hands down, is the best way for me to sell stuff. And the example I give people oftentimes from the tea side is that at one point my husband we were doing a farmer's market, and he had to do it for me. And this happened more than once, but one of the times I was pregnant. And so he had to come and help. And anytime I left our space, sales went down. Every single time, sales went down. And then I'd come back and boom, they go right back up. And it's because I'm sampling and I'm engaging and I'm talking. And it was the difference. And so that's why a lot of times you'll see I'm willing to give it away for free. I'll give you a copy of Hush. You want it? Go get it. Tell me, because I have a game plan. My long-term game plan is a lot more books. And so if I can get you in right here, it just makes more sense to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's why authors do it.
Yeah, it's about building that relationship. And I wouldn't disagree that, the way to think about it in a pure business sense, Durham, is you're identifying what's going to be your loss leader. That's really the way to think about it. You are losing money on something by giving it away for free, But the act of giving it away buys you so much cachet and so much goodwill that you more than make it up with later relationships. So, like in my case, I'm giving away the first book in my series, which is really just it's a micro book. I mean, it's just a little thing, but it helps people get to know me. It helps people come into my funnel. It's a topic that they're super interested in, and so they opt into my mailing list, and then I can say, all right, well, I have these other books, and I'm building this class, and blah blah blah, all the rest of that type of stuff. So it is. I mean, think of it as a loss leader. You've probably heard that term used in business before. Walmart or Toys R Us or whomever will put a huge discount on something. And as a consumer, when you hear about it, it's like, what, I could get a flat screen TV for, $25? That's crazy. I got to get in there and get that. They're going to sell, X number of flat screen TVs at a loss, but it drags in people who are willing to buy not just a flat screen TV, but do the rest of their Christmas shopping or their birthday shopping, or finish their home entertainment system and buy the speakers and the blah, 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 all the rest of that type of stuff. So
because you can't get out of there just with one thing.
Why would you? I mean, why waste the trip, right? You might as well take full advantage. Plus, you're saving all that money on the flat screen TV. What a fantastic deal. Anyway.
Someone asked, Shabazz said, can a blog with short stories help with discoverability? And I think absolutely it can. I said yes and no. So I'm just going to give you my take on it. I've been blogging for a number of years. I started in about 2009, and horrible in the beginning of it, and I wasn't consistent. And so I think that one of the big things is you have to be really consistent in your blogging, because once you start to get an audience, they have to know that every Tuesday you do X, or every Wednesday you do this, or maybe you blog 3 times a week. Your audience starts to expect a certain amount of information from you. And so if you're consistent, you can build a pretty decent audience that way. And then think about the branding of your blog and what is the focus of your blog. So for example, my first blog was Corey Miller Writes. And now that blog, I rebranded it a couple years ago as the site for creative writers and newbie podcasters, because I decided I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about a different topic, but I didn't change the name, and it goes by KMW. As a shortened version of it, but that's where I host a lot of stuff for other writers, authors, podcasters, is on that website. And so there's very little about me actually there, because I have 2 author sites. So I shifted and created 2 author sites and tried to create a following over there. So I have a pretty decent following on Corey Miller Writes and a pretty decent following on Back Porch Writer. My author sites, those are fairly new, but it's consistency. I think if you're super consistent, you can build your audience and then be consistent about what you blog about. What does your site offer? And then I can help you with discoverability. I don't think it's easy, but I do think it comes down to consistency. So that's my 2 cents. What do you think, Artie?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it can be about consistency. So Andy Weir, the guy who wrote The Martian, did it exactly that way. He blogged that novel, wrote it, a little bit at a time on his blog. He just put up chapters and kind of put that information online. And there's a lot of twists and turns to the story, but essentially what ended up happening was people wanted to get copies of the complete novel when he was done. So he offered it for free on his blog site because it was so popular. People liked it. And then people were complaining about the fact that it was too difficult to install on their Kindles. So they asked him to please put it on Amazon so that they could just, one click with electronic fulfillment, just have it appear on their Kindle. So they didn't have to bother with any of the trouble. So he put it on Kindle for 99 cents and people were buying. So the thing is that it has to do with, it has to do with consistency. It has to do with quality. Yeah, it is really cool. It's super cool. I mean, it's just sort of the rags to riches story of what's possible when you do find your audience that's out there. And if you are consistent and you're talented in being able to provide that content, people can find it. I mean, there's no time in the past has it ever been possible to kind of be as successful doing this kind of thing by creating your brand, putting yourself out there, creating your own identity and offering your products. it's phenomenal. It's really amazing. Doesn't always work. You know, I mean, it takes a lot of time and a lot of consistency. You keep working. But once you do find your niche and once it does start to grow, there's tons of success stories out there. It's really exciting and really interesting. All right. Sorry.
I will say this. I mean, and for me, I'm starting out too. That's why Hardy and I got together and started doing indie author hours, because we're trying to figure our way through all of this. So yeah, I've got more than one book, but I only have one book out as a novel in my series. It's the first one, and that's Hush. And so I started doing these short stories and collections to get to know my character better and then move forward, because I knew I needed more books out there. No matter what they were, I needed more books out there for discoverability. So that's part of what prompted that. And the example that I gave at the beginning of the show, when we were talking about Michael Anderle, that Michael Anderle guy is a great story of just dive in and do it. I mean, and that's exactly what he did. He started writing, and he wrote 5 books in 90 days or something. I mean, less than 90 days. He's on his 6th book. He didn't do a lot of editing in the beginning. He thought it was fine. He just threw it out there for 99 cents. And now he's on par to make about $13,000 in January, something like that. But you can listen to him over on authorbiz.com. That's where he got interviewed. So these things, this is the time to do it. If you really want to know about author stats and what authors do make or can potentially have been making or whatever, there's the author earnings report that Hugh Howey and Data Guy put out. I want to say they do it quarterly, but I could be wrong. But it's the author earnings report, and that gives you a good picture of what's going on in the indie community, whether it's nonfiction or fiction or whatever, to look at what people are making and how indie authors are doing versus traditionally published authors, for example, or people with no ISBNs on their books, and how much they're actually selling, because they're a hidden market, so to speak, because that's not counted by the people who mainly count these things, aren't counting books that don't have ISBNs in their numbers, which is why there was a report out last year that said that indie books or something, ebooks were going down in sales. It was rubbish. They weren't counting an entire segment that never had ISBNs.
I don't have ISBNs on my books because I don't have any physical copies of them. So all I have is ASBNs, which is the Amazon identification numbers, because all I have is ebooks. But I need to do physical books. That's one of the things. Once I'm done with this class, I'll get back into fixing the books up and stuff like that. Durham asked the question, can we talk a little bit about creating local buzz? So this would be my response, Durham, and I'm not an expert about this by any means, but my own sort of research into this has indicated that if you're writing about a regional area, like for example, if your stories are set in a particular place, then there can be a huge value in reaching out. There can be a huge value in reaching out to local bookstores or local retailers and saying, "Look, I wrote this book. It's well reviewed. It's well received. People like it. Would you carry it in your souvenir shop, your travel book shop, your local hotel convenience store or whatever, the store in the hotel lobby?" Because if people come on vacation, for example, up here in the Pacific Northwest where I am, there might be an interest in local books. I mean, if you're in town for the weekend or the week or something like that and you're on vacation, oh, look, here's a novel that's set in Seattle. That's interesting. And so it makes a lot of sense to pick it up. It makes a lot of sense to try to build that, which is, I think, a subset of finding your niche is really the key. What you're looking for is you're looking for that audience of people out there that are going to be your loyal fans, your supporters, and buy the first thing that you have to offer and whatever else it is that you're trying to sell. And so rather than maybe thinking about it as trying to take over the world, think about it as what's the best path for you to find your niche, find your audience or your tribe of people that are going to be your loyal followers and be excited about the work that you're doing. If it happens to be local, then it makes sense to go local and to seek that out. But it might make more sense to find them online, or it might make more sense to find them through Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of different strategies. But I guess that's what I would say is, think about if there's a clear local value that that is reflected in your work. And then if that's the case, then yeah, absolutely, finding those people, making them part of your tribe could be very helpful. Yeah, I think that's great. That's great. It's interesting. One of the challenges and again, I have to research this more thoroughly, but one of the challenges that I've heard about is literally stocking books, fulfilling physical orders of books and stocking them is one of the challenges. I guess the traditional publishers have all these systems in place where, they can ship a bunch of books over to a library or to a bookstore or whatever, and it's very clear exactly where those books are supposed to go on the shelf. There's all these rules about where they go. Whereas an indie book may not be quite as clear exactly where you're going to sell it or how you're going to market it, stuff like that. So that is one of the challenges that a lot of indie authors face when it comes to on-the-ground local retailers, is trying to get them to be willing to pick up those those physical copies and sell them, just because stocking can be a challenge. But if you've got people that are interested, that's terrific. I think that's awesome.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts on this from a local perspective, because my tea business is very, very local, even though I have customers all over the place. But I really focused on Omaha because that's where I started the business. So I have a really good customer base in Omaha, Nebraska. And some of those people have since moved, and now I have customers elsewhere because of those people moving, which is kind of fun. But in any case, the local side of it, you may try, if you find indie bookstores, that's a natural fit. I have not done it. And the reason I haven't done it is I was actually waiting until I got reviews on my book so that I could go into some of these places and say, it is getting good reviews. It is being well received. It is. And then that would help them want to stock the shelves with it. Now, on the stock the shelves question, many, many indie authors use Ingram Spark as a way to do that, to make that happen. So you might want to check that out. I have not. Because another approach you could take is buy your books, because Durham mentioned print on demand. Buy your books and then go take them over there. Because if you make a deal with them, if you're willing to do what any publisher would do, which is take them back if they're not selling, they're going to be okay with that for the most part. So work a deal with them. I used to do that with some of my tea. If I was trying a new place that I wasn't sure the tea was a great fit, I would say, hey, if they're not selling an X number of time, I will take everything back. Don't worry about it, because I knew I could always sell it somewhere else. It wasn't a big deal to me. I wasn't going to lose anything off that. And so I would approach books in a similar way, is go and do something like that. There's also, in our area in Nebraska, we've got a writers guild that I can be active with, and I'm a member of. It's the Nebraska Writers Guild, so maybe there's one in your area. And if they're doing events and things, work with them to do that. One of the things that our guild here does is the Nebraska State Fair. So Nebraska authors always have their books there. Other authors get together and do events as well and share the costs of those events. So there's things that you can do locally like that help. Library things are always great. I've done a couple different things at the library that I'm near here in Fremont, Nebraska, and they're really receptive. Not every library is going to be receptive to having a self-published or indie author book in there, but some will be. And so you have to be willing to step out and go ask. And that's essentially what happened here. I don't even know if I asked. I think I might have been approached. But in any case, it happened. My children's book, Dante, I was invited to this year go to the Humane Society and speak at the Humane Society because I have a book for children that's about ferrets. And so that was a natural fit to go to the Humane Society and say, hey, yeah, I could do something. So I put together a presentation, and when they want me to be over there, I'll be over there doing that presentation. So that's another thing to do local. We talk about local radios, online interviews. You can always go to backporchwriter.com and be a guest on my show, just so you know. I host a show that's every week right before this one at 9:30, and it's live just like this one. And you can go to Calendly to schedule your time to be on that show. But just go to backporchwriter.com if you're interested. But yes, there's also, depending on the type of books you write, if you write mysteries like I do, you could go on Stephen Campbell's Crime FM, and speak with him about your book. So there's lots of places that you can go. My Back Porch Writer show is on Blog Talk Radio. You go to Blog Talk Radio, you're going to find a bunch of shows that you can approach to try and get on to do that sort of thing. Locally, I have a friend who had a radio program locally, and so I was on her show a lot. And it wasn't just to talk about books; it was actually to talk about lots of different things, But again, it was just getting out there, discoverability stuff.
Corey, I have a question for you. Who is Desiree getting messages from who's dead?
Oh, Alec Covington.
Which is who?
I can't give all that away. That's part of the book.
Oh, come on. I'm just trying to work on the blurb for you here. She starts getting messages from who is he to the but just dead guys.
He's part of a group. That's what ends up happening. He's part of a group. I can give you that. I can't give you too much. I can't say it here. I would be giving away too much information. If I give it to you offline, that's fine.
Okay.
Did we miss any other questions? The online interview thing, by the way, I mentioned Corey Miller Wright. That's another thing that I do for authors over there. You can always do an author spotlight on Corey Miller Wrights, and there's a form. You can just fill that out. If you want to submit and do something because you've got a book coming out and you want to talk about writing, you can put together a piece about writing, and then I'll let you put, a link to your book and blah, blah, blah. It's like, go over and look. Corey Miller Wrights. You can see some of the stuff that other authors have been able to do on that site. I accept submissions for fiction, flash fiction, for poetry. So there's a lot happening over there. So just go peruse Corey Miller Wrights and you'll see that. But there's a lot of other authors who do that, indie authors who do similar things. So I think that was it, question wise. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do.
I'm working on your blurb.
You're working on my blurb. He's working on my blurb. How awesome is that? And are there any other questions that we may have missed or that anybody has that we want to bounce around? And like I said, we're not the experts. We're just out here trying to do stuff, and both have that entrepreneurial spirit in us. My father calls me a serial entrepreneur. It's true. I'm not going to lie. I have a tea business. We have a robotic design coding business. This is just what we do. So
it's true. All right. Fun. It is fun. It's super fun. It's very exciting.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I don't think I said this. I had my first international sale and review. I was stoked. I was absolutely stoked. Yeah, that happened just the other day.
What country?
Yes. It's on the Amazon UK store. So I was very excited. I know, right?
Good luck to you with your UK reviews.
Woo! And remember when I think I said this last week, that I was playing with one of my categories and changed it, right? So I changed this category to see what would happen. And so my ranking in that category, when I checked it a couple days ago because of this review that I found, I was number 18 in that category on the UK site. I don't know what it was in the Amazon US site. It was lower though, because in the Amazon US site, when I changed that, before I changed the category, it was like 2,000-3,000, I don't know, somewhere in there. But when I changed categories, it went down to something like 600 in that category. I haven't checked recently.
Great.
I don't spend a lot of time checking. I check periodically to see if I need to tweak things, But sure. I was stoked. That was so awesome. Yes, great. I can officially say I have sold internationally. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Internationally known author, Corey Miller.
That's what that needs to say on the ad. That's what I should say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So approach this like it's a game and you'll have a lot of fun. There's lots of stuff to play with. It can be a little overwhelming. Somebody mentioned earlier in the chat comments that this can be a little intimidating. Yeah, it can be a little intimidating. It can be a little overwhelming. Just bite off a little bit at a time. Do what you can do a little bit at a time. Don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. I've been there, done that. It's not fun. So take your time, and you can be around other authors who are they're selling gangbusters and you're not there yet. And you're like, what's going on? Yeah, you need to learn to ignore that.
Yeah, the only way you lose is if you don't do anything at all. Yeah. Yeah. And as long as you do anything, you're winning. I mean, any steps you take forward are just going to be fantastic steps. I mean, anything and everything. And of course, there's tons of resources out there. I mean, we're a resource, but there's so many other people that are offering advice and information. And that's really how we got our start, was just, looking at all the information that was out there and trying to figure out what to do, and we kind of stuck our paddle in the water and started rowing. Here we go. Ah!
And for the record, my first book was a book of essays about growing up as a biracial person in the United States. And they were essays that I had been writing over the years. I mean, I started back in college when I was writing. That's what I was doing. And the formatting on that book was horrible, absolutely horrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying. I was looking at things and trying to figure it out, but it was horrible. And then as I started to learn more, I did a second edition for the book. The formatting is a lot better. I added a few things to it, so it needed a new ISBN actually. But in any case, it's very forgiving, just do it. Get out there and do what you want to do. If you're worried about negative reviews, yeah, they're going to happen. I had one. It was horrible. I had this horrible review. If you go look at Hush, there's a horrible review over there. The person was just really, really nasty. But hey, that's their prerogative, So what? That's going to happen. I always like to tell people, think about a duck. What happens when water hits a duck's back? It just rolls off, So just learn to go quack and move on. That's what I do.
Yeah, you can't let any of the negative stuff slow you down. I mean, for one thing, it honestly makes your books and your reviews look more authentic. If there's negative and positive reviews, if you bother to go over to something like Goodreads and take a look at some of the classics of literature, it's amazing what the overall rating on books is. I mean, it's not as high as you might think for real classics. Catcher in the Rye, it's like 3.7 stars or something.
You're thinking, that was a fabulous book. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah, it's one of the great American novels, isn't it? Like, really? That's only what it rates? It's not so good. So, yeah, I mean, try not to be intimidated. It's difficult, to say don't be intimidated because it can be a little intimidating to put yourself out there. But on the other hand, I think if you're authentic, if you're really who you are, some people will like you, some people won't, but that's the way life works. Mm-hmm. And the people that like you will be very supportive and very encouraging. Yeah. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. And it's helpful if you surround yourself with other people. The reason I started the Back Porch Writer Show was because I live in the country, and the next city is about 25,000 people or so. And it's not very far from me, but there's not a lot of writing activity happening. So I wasn't around a lot of writers. And so I wanted to get around that more. And so I said, well, I'll create this show and just kind of bring it to me and to other people like me. And that's it. And I've been doing that show in March, it'll be something like 3 years that I've been doing the Back Porch Writer Show. And I've learned leaps and bounds just by doing that show and having other authors and writers and industry experts come on the show and be able to pick their brains, ask them questions, see what they're all about. I mean, that really does help, getting around other people who are doing what you're doing and that they have a positive outlook. I mean, I'm not saying don't surround yourself with a bunch of naysayers and people that are just going to bring you down. That doesn't do any good. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing this with Hardy. We met a couple months ago because of a group we were in on Facebook, and I really wanted to check out this blab thing. I had heard about it and thought it was awesome. Like, I got to try it. I got to find somebody to try it with me because you can't have a blab party of one. That doesn't work.
Well, it's just not as fun. I mean, it's way more work.
Oh my God. So we got together to do this because we both wanted to try it. So surround yourself with people who are going in the same direction that you're going, basically, and that are going to be supportive about what you're doing, and just keep moving forward. That's Walt Disney said that.
Maybe we need to make a Indie Author Hour Facebook group so that people can join us. They can surround themselves with us.
Oh, that's true. I'll let you take care of that. You do that one. I'm doing the other stuff. You do that one. Let me know when that Facebook group is up.
I will.
I'll be happy to be there.
We'll put it up so we can announce it next time. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, because that would be awesome. Because it's all about get yourself around people that, one, are on the same mission as you are, two, have ideas and are willing to share them. They're not worried about, oh, you're better than me. No, that's not what this is about. If you read my stuff, other people will still read your stuff. We all read everybody else's stuff. It's not a big deal. The competition is not the same thing here. It's not the same thing, period. Don't think of it that way. That's all I say.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, yeah, but I don't, we're certainly not in competition at all. And the way I think about it is really, I mean, a rising tide raises all boats. So if one indie author can be successful, all that does is help all the other potential indie authors that are out there It just helps to legitimize the process. It helps to solidify the tools and to solidify the approach, and helps make people more familiar with the work across the board. So yeah, there's definitely it's not about competition at all. And if people are out there trying to flex and be competitive, then just walk away from them. It's ridiculous.
That's not, you don't want to be around that. I like to look for collaboration whenever possible. So if I can work with, I would love to do things with other mystery thriller writers. And so even in Nebraska, I said to my Writers Guild, hey, how about we put together something that's like Thriller Fest that happens in New York, only a much smaller scale, because that's huge. And I can't go to that. It's super expensive, and I can't go to that right now. But I would love to do something like that in my area. And it turned out that there's a bunch of other mystery thriller writers who want to do it. We haven't gotten it together yet, but I floated the idea out there so that we can all come together and then bring other people to see what we do.
Didn't Brian Cohen organize some sort of virtual thing like that? Wasn't there a...
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times from what I understand, and he gets together with a couple different authors who are all going to offer their books for, I think, 99 cents or something like that, all at the same time. March something. I don't think he calls it March Madness, because that's a basketball thing. But I think he's done it both twice and done it in March, if I understand correctly. And Brian Cohen, you guys can Google him so you know who we're talking about if you're not familiar with his name. He was for a thing called Selling for Authors. His is Selling for Authors, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Selling for Authors on Facebook. But he has a course, Selling for Authors, which I did not take. I'm just in the Facebook group. And he has a couple different podcasts. One of them is Sell More Book Show, which is a great podcast to listen to, by the way. Lots of great information there. They talk about different indie things that are happening, up and coming things that might be useful. Like they were talking about Book Funnel just this last week. They mentioned Book Funnel. Yeah. And I did talk to him, by the way, so I'll tell you about him later. But yeah, Book Funnel's cool. Check out Book Funnel. That's a really cool tool. But yeah, just look up Brian Cohen and you'll get some ideas. And if you have questions about the Facebook advertising stuff, just Google Mark Dawson. That would be the indie author guru in that area right now.
He is terrific at it. I am a ardent supporter and student of his. So
this is and here I'd just like to point this out. Here would be the difference. Hardy took the class. He took the Facebook author class that Mark Dawson does. I did not. Which one of us is struggling with Facebook advertising? So there you go. So maybe it's worth paying for the class.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the class itself was fantastic, and honestly, the value of the continuing group with feedback and comments, and I mean, it's expensive. I will say it was pricey, but it's definitely paying for itself, in my humble opinion. So.
Wasn't it like $500 and something for the course or something? Yeah. So it wasn't cheap. But it's gotten great reviews from a lot of people, and you hear Hardy talking about it. It clearly helped. I've done it the hard way, and most of you don't know me that well, but I do everything the hard way initially.
Yes. Corey is our designated hard way doer. I am the easy way doer. I'm doing the easy way.
I will try everything, and then I'll be able to report how difficult those things were or how easy they were, depending, because I will go the hard way first. It's true.
All right, cool.
So, any other questions? Because we started late, but we're going a little bit long now. So any other questions or comments that we could possibly answer at all for anyone?
I guess we're good.
We're good?
Fantastic.
So this has been a lot of fun.
As always.
A great one. And if I have questions about the ad stuff, I will send you a message via Facebook, Hardy.
Just so you know. I'm working on the blurb right now, so whatever you can tell me about this mystery dead guy that will help me characterize that in your blurb, let me know.
Are you talking about the blurb for my ad or my blurb for my Amazon page?
I'm talking about the blurb for your ad. You don't.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Want to make sure we're talking about the same blurb. Okay, well that'd be awesome. So I'll just send send you a message through Facebook. Thanks everybody for joining us for Indie Author Hour. As always, you can find, at least right now, the show notes over on backporchwriter.com for Indie Author Hour. There's a tab there so you can see the indie author stuff. I'm usually behind, I'm not going to lie. I'm usually behind getting those notes up there, but they will be there. So just, check back, because they will be there, and I'll put links to anything that we may have talked about. And if I miss something, just shoot me a message and say, hey, what was this? And then I'll add it. No big deal. I'll just put it back in there. These are also available over on YouTube. So the replays can be here on Blab, but you can go over to YouTube and look for Indie Author Hour, and find them that way. They're also, some of them are on the Back Porch Writer YouTube page, because we're in transition. We haven't completely transitioned stuff, just so you know. So we're in transition for Indie Author.
We just jumped in and started doing it. That's why.
That's right. We just went, let's do this. And so it's not all as pretty and organized as some other shows might be, just so you know.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. See you later.
See ya.